All right, I'm going to show you today how you can deal with big textures on models. Sometimes you might get a model that has 4K textures. Now, if you use Sketchfab in our system, we've made it so that the majority of models that are commented out that just won't work in the system. But you might buy a model or get one from a 3D artist that has 4K or even 8K textures in some cases, and they're too big for upload on our system. I'm going to show you how you can take, in this case, a 153 megabyte model and have it come down to 7.9 megabytes on our system, are just a little bit bigger that you can use on other systems that don't use compression and decimation like ours does. So the model's still going to look great and perfect, and it's not going to be a huge file size. In this case, as I mentioned, it is sitting at 7.87 megabytes on our system. I'm going to show you I can use free tools. In this case, we're going to use Photopea, and I'm going to show you I can make a macro to batch all the textures to make them small. So you don't have to do them all one at a time, right? So let's get started. So I'm going to simply take my folder that I have the textures in. So the starting zip file size was 153 megabytes. So I decompressed all those, I uncompressed them. And I'm just going to start off with one of these textures. Just find one of the 4K textures, perfect. So I'm just going to drag it over to Photopea. And once I have this, I'm going to go to Window and make sure I have actions enabled. I'm going to come over here to this little play button. That's my actions. And I'm simply going to go New Action. And I'm just going to leave it as default, called Action 0. I'm going to go Record. I'm going to go Image. I'm going to go Image Size. And I'm just going to change this to 1024. We're just going to leave this as a 1024 by 1024 texture. You don't need to go lower than that. You can go 2K as well, 2048 by 2048. But sometimes if you have a lot of textures on a model, you might just want to go down to this realm, because really on a viewport on a phone, you're not going to miss the quality. It's still going to look fantastic for the average majority of things. So I'm going to go OK. It's not going to resize that texture to that size. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go stop. I'm going to close that image. Just go OK. I'm going to come back over to my folder. So I'm just going to go File, Automate, Batch. All right. So I'm going to go Source Images. So I'm just going to browse to that folder. Once I'm at that folder, I'm just going to go to the textures. And I'm just going to go sort by type. I'm just going to grab all the PNGs. Usually they're the ones that take up the most size. And really you need to do this kind of like, they're all PNGs. Sometimes you might have JPEGs in there as well. So I'm just going to take all the PNGs, except for the one that was 512. We don't need to worry about that one. That one's 512. That one's 512. That one's 512. That one's probably going to be it. So these are probably 4K and on. Yeah. So we'll only grab the 4K textures, and we're simply going to go Open. So now I'll come over here. It says Action Set 0. That's the one that we made. Format PNG. Process images. So now I can go make coffee, go to the washroom, do whatever it is I might want to do, and let the system do it instead of me having to go do that step by step each time. Let the action macro do it. Once it's done, I believe it makes a there we go. For a second there, it came up unresponsive, but it fixed itself, and it gave me the zip folder. So I'm just going to grab that folder. That was downloaded. I'm going to go back into my textures folder here. I'm just going to paste that. I'm just going to extract the files that were made. Let's just copy these. Let's go back up to textures. Let's just paste them in there, overwrite the ones that are already in there. We will now just delete these two folders. Perfect. Let's go back up here. All right. So I put these two files in here for reference, the GLB, the 17 megabyte one or the 153 megabyte file. This is what we're going to get down to. When we bring it into WorldCAST, it brings it down to the smaller file sizes we saw. But in this case, I don't need to worry about textures, the license, the scene, and the GLTF. And I'm simply going to go right click. I'm on PC. You can do however you do on a Mac. And I'm going to go send to compressed zip folder. And we'll just call this new texture robot. All right. So now we have an 18 megabyte zip file versus the 153 megabyte one. So to illustrate this, let me just go to WorldCAST. If I was to drag and drop the 153 megabyte one in, it's going to say it's too big. It's past the 100 megabyte threshold. But now if I take the one that we just made and drag it in, the new text robot, it comes up and will give us the exact preview of the model that we are already having in the scene. And there we go. That's how easy it is to use. And of course, with the output model that I just made, you can use that for other AR platforms as well. Okay, so that's how you can optimize your model. The other systems might not handle compression and decimation like our system does. I've noticed that on some of them that some of the file sizes are pretty big when they're loading up. But this is just one more way that if you don't know what to do, that you can use a system like Photopea, not have to use Photoshop or anything, use free software and be able to adjust those textures on that model so it's at least a usable file format. So you don't have to contact a 3D artist or something, especially if you're messing around at nighttime, or just another thing that you can do. And that's how I took a 153 megabyte model down to 7.9 megabytes. So I hope that helps, and I can't wait to see what you create.